Oh, look at you all, ladies and gentlemen, just right there. You're just, well, you know, sitting wherever you are, like standing even. Maybe you're like just hanging out somewhere and you're listening to the Mr. Warren Hayes show. And I am Mr. Warren Hayes. That's me. That's me. And this is the SmackDown recap show. Yeah. It's the SmackDown recap show for the May 28th edition of SmackDown Live. Oh, what the? Whoa. This is just crazy. And I'm so excited. I'm just so happy, excited, thrilled to see you all here tonight. Because I do these show lives. I do these shows with lives. I take over your lives for, you know, about an hour and a quarter, depending on the evening, to talk about wrestling. And I do this live. There we go. Every Tuesday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. Do this right here on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. Mr. This is what you. Okay, guys, get ready. I'm debuting my hand signal. It's my hand sign. All right, I'm debuting this. The Undisputed Era have one. Bullet Club have one. Now Mr. Warren Hayes and everyone who joins in the chat now has the possibility to do this hand sign as well. Are you ready? Here we go. It goes, Mr. Warren Hayes. Now, you might think that the H is a little crooked, might look a little bit like a 4. But if you think that, you're a killjoy and a jackass. What were we talking about? Yeah, but the show's just starting. So yes, youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. Look, folks, we get joined here every night that I do this by a spectacular group of people, fantastic wrestling connoisseurs, aficionados, fans who like to come here and join in some quality, respectful discussion about professional wrestling, such as Kristen Ashley, who is also an aficionado of my heart. We have Metal 2006, who's with us tonight. Tim Traver as well. Brian Payne is here. Blaine Mendoza, who is, of course, the world's most handsome mod, and also the mod that can beat up every other mod. Joe Anthony's here. Ryan Smith, CM Phil, how you doing? Peter Davies is here as well. Guys, how could you not want to come and join such a fantastic group of people? So if you ever do have the chance or the inclination or the possibility, why don't you just pop in, say hello, and test out the waters, wade a little bit in the waters of this chat. But then you can also watch it at whatever time you want as well, you know, on your own dime, on your own time, at youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. The video is always there. And if you watch it live or on YouTube, whenever, you know what would be really, really interesting? What would be really, really cool is if you left a thumbs up on the video, because YouTube really digs that. And if maybe you're not even watching this, maybe you're listening to this, or maybe you're watching this and you're saying to yourself, you know what? I don't really give a shit about Warren Hayes and his hand signals, the Mr. Warren Hayes show. I don't give a shit about that. I don't want to see him. The most I can put up with this guy is his voice, and, you know, you'd be 1 in a million, but you never know. Then you can listen to this on your favorite podcast application, ladies and gentlemen, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Podbean, Podcoin, Himalaya, Castbox. It doesn't matter. Look for Mr. Warren Hayes show, and it's there. It's there. And you can listen to that on the go without using up all your bandwidth, because let's be honest, watching video right, on a streaming video, that eats up your data, right? And your data's precious, folks. You probably pay your cellular provider highfalutin amounts of monies to get proper data so that you can use it for emergencies, or to send and receive emails, perhaps text messages with a loved one, or just to carouse Facebook Marketplace, or to Snapchat with anonymous dudes. You just have to keep your data for hold on to that data. Make sure you use your data for proper use, not just like watching Warren Hayes. Although, I will say, using your data to watch Warren Hayes, not bad. Not a bad idea. Want to say hello to Webby and Robert Larry, who have just joined us in the chat. Good to see you guys as well. Tomorrow's Wednesday, so that means, look at that, right over here. You have it appearing right up here in the graphic. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's my Fightful Select recap show for 205 Live, NXT UK. Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. I do it live as well for Fightful Select members, so you can go check that out. That's the premium service for Fightful.com, which, of course, has all that good wrestling news and exclusives managed by one sap. I don't know where I was going with this. Sean Ross Sapp, who takes care of all of that. He also contributes to Fightful Select quite a bit. He does the Fightful Report, which he does every week. He does Q&A sessions. He and I do retro pay-per-view reviews together as well. Those are always a lot of fun. There's also Steven Jensen, who does the Weekender, and that's always cool. So I mean, that's all fantastic. You go right in there. And you have FightfulSelect.com. I mean, you go head over there, and then you subscribe, and it's a good time. It's a good time. Go check that out. Bunch of extra content. Supports Fightful. What more do you want? Well, I can tell you what more do you want. It's a pay-per-view week. We've got NXT TakeOver coming up this week, this Saturday, actually, TakeOver 25, which is the show that was originally scheduled to be TakeOver San Jose until this Saudi Arabia business arrived, and we had to, when I say we, I mean WWE, had to start moving things around. So we get a TakeOver this weekend, a standalone TakeOver that's not associated with any pay-per-view, and I'm going to be joined by Harmony Cox, good pal, good friend, belltobells.com contributor as well, and I'll be getting to that Bell to Bells stuff in just a second. Harmony's going to be joining me this Friday to talk about NXT TakeOver 25 predictions, 8 p.m. Friday, folks. If you want to be a part of the cool crowd who hangs out with cool people and listens to cool things, then do something else on Friday evening. Otherwise, you can watch Harmony and I talk about TakeOver. It'll be a lot of fun. Harmony is fantastic. She's got some great insights. Can't wait to get her to talk about Shayna Baszler and Io Shirai. That's going to be a good time. And I mentioned it, belltobells.com, folks. That is where you need to go. It's the only place you really need to go if you want to get all the wrestling coverage, news, opinion that you want regarding women's wrestling, because that's all it is. Kristen Ashley is the editor-in-chief. She is the majority owner of the site as well. And we have a fantastic group of people who write all sorts of fantastic stuff there. I talked about it yesterday, but it bears repeating again one more time. We had Anthony Suter, who contributes for us at Bell to Bells. Anthony was at Starrcast this weekend, and he covered for us Lita's women's wrestling panel, and we were basically the only site who does it. And there are other sites out there who say that they do women's coverage, not naming any names. Some of them that we like, some of them that but a lot of them that we like, and no one else was covering this panel. We had live tweets going. Kristen and Anthony are going to work on some articles as well, some follow-ups on it that are going to be appearing on Bell to Bells. Guys, gals, belltobells.com. That's BELLTOBELLES.com. And it's the same address for, it's the same for Twitter. It's the exact same Twitter handle. It's worth a follow. Hang out, chat, lots of great stuff. I know a lot of people who join the Mr. Warren Hayes show in the live chat are big women's wrestling fans. Do yourselves a favor. Follow Bell to Bells. You really will be doing yourself a favor. Brian Smith in the chat says TakeOver looks good on Saturday, which I agree. And Blaine says it's flown under the radar that it will bang. Blaine, are you all right? Who's banging radars now, Blaine? There we go. So now, well, I guess we're gonna move on to SmackDown. Where are my notes? Warren? Where'd you put your notes? Are these your notes? Yes, these are your notes. I get prepped for the show. Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're back with a glass of water. I think the juice box last night got me a little excited, didn't it? Don't you think? Well, don't you worry. Don't you worry. I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm going to get excited for some stuff tonight. Oh boy. Oh boy. You have no idea at this point. Well, maybe you do. If you follow me on Twitter. You know. Maybe you already know what I'm going to do, what I'm going to talk about tonight. So SmackDown tonight, as opposed to Raw last night, instead of treating us with 20 to not even 20, 30 minutes of non-wrestling and angles, decided to treat us, maybe because we were such a good boys and girls to have sat through Raw last night, decided to treat us with wrestling to begin with. First and foremost, the show started with a recap of what happened last week between Dolph Ziggler and Kofi Kingston. Now, why, if you're going to recap what happened last week, why won't you recap what happened last night with Dolph Ziggler and Kofi Kingston? Oh, is it because it was the exact same thing? Was it because perhaps you were afraid of exposing yourselves as doing the same thing week after week? Kevin Owens comes to the ring to start off the proceedings here. Now we didn't instantly jump into wrestling, and we didn't exactly just dive into wrestling immediately. You know, we started with KO, who comes to the ring, and they do a video package. Another video package recapping the Kofi Kingston Kevin Owens feud, which has been going on, right? Just super recently. And, it's not as if we're, well, of course, WWE figures that we have the memory of a goldfish. So, we have to recap everything that's happened. And then KO has a microphone after this recap. And, he says he was supposed to do the Kevin Owens show here, but he preferred not to do it in Oklahoma because Oklahoma sucks and, heel stuff. And I've never been to Oklahoma, so I can't verify if it sucks or not. So I'm not taking his word for it. If anyone is listening from Oklahoma, I'll have to experience it myself. In the meantime, Change my mind. No, you don't have to change my mind. I'm not. My mind's not. I'm not on any side regarding as to whether Oklahoma sucks or not. I've already talked about this, perhaps a little too much. He promises us, he ensures us that he did not attack Big E last week. You know, he says Big E said that Big E accused Kevin Owens of doing it. He said Big E said himself that Kevin Owens did it, but Kevin says, you know, Big E gets really sweaty, and maybe he had sweat in his eyes, or maybe he was preparing one of his patented hilarious tweets and wasn't paying attention. Kevin Owens says, I'm a good person. But then Kofi comes out. Kofi asks him to stop with all the lies. Stop your lying, Kevin. Stop your lying, you liar. Stop lying, liar. He says, you're not a good person, Kevin. And you're not going to soften me up for Dolph Ziggler tonight. Tonight, I'm going to make you pay for what you did to Big E, re-injuring his knee, which it wasn't actually fully healed. We're talking kayfabe, of course. And what you've been doing to Woodsy, Xavier Woods, over the past couple of weeks, you've been beating him up. So is Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler also beat Xavier Woods up. So we get the match. This is what we start off with. We start off with Kevin Owens versus Kofi Kingston. From everything I've understood, this was not a title match. Chat, let me know let me know what you thought of this match, because I liked this match. Early on, Kevin Owens starts stomping on Kofi. They head to the outside of the ring, and on the outside, Kevin hits a senton. He KOs, he chops, he didn't KO him, but he chops Kofi on the outside, rolls him back inside to the ring, covers, but only gets 2. KO keeps Kofi grounded, then hits some straight punches. Kofi starts fighting back and hits some straight punches, like right on the face, right in the kisser. But KO eventually knocks him back down. KO tries to grab Kofi's legs, but Kofi won't let him. I like that little segment. It felt like sport. It felt real. I liked it. Owens gets tossed to the outside. Kofi hits his air Kofi, where he basically does like a backwards tope onto the outside. That, to me, it has to be, because since Kofi launches himself into the air and goes back first, it has to be terrifying for Kofi to do, because he's going to be like, well, I hope I land on someone, you know. But then on the other hand, for the guy who's on the other side receiving it, he's got to be like, wow, I hope he doesn't miscue and misses me by 3 feet, because, you know, I'll have to run under him. And it can be a really, it has to be a tough spot to hit every time. It's got to be, me, it's the kind of spot that would fill me with anxiety. But then again, losing a sock fills me with anxiety. I purchased recently, just last week, listen to this, last week, ordered 5 pairs of socks from Amazon, all right? A nice little bundle of colorful socks. I like socks. Got to tell you guys, my sock game, it's on point. So I find this nice little bundle of Amazon, 5 socks. I order them. I get them from Prime. I have Prime. So it's like next day delivery. And I'm like, cool. Next day, the delivery guy, he can't find my address, which is stupid because it's a delivery company that delivered packages to me in the past. So it comes back. It gets sent away. I have to call the company, and they say, okay, we'll come back and try tomorrow. The day after. So 2 days later, they come back and it's like, nope. And I'm like, no, this is stupid. Call them back a second time. Finally, I get it delivered, and I have my socks, and there are a pair of socks that have octopuses on them, right? And those are instantly my favorites. That's the main reason why I decided to buy that particular pack of socks because there were octopuses on it. Fun fact, you do say octopuses and not octopi because octopus doesn't have a Latin genus. It doesn't have Latin roots. So that's why you say cactus and cacti in plural, but you still say octopuses. Just here, that's a gift of knowledge from me to you. So, look at the hand. I'm going to show you the kind of socks that I got. Check this out. Look at this. Look, little digital penguins. Jesus Christ. Am I right? I mean, come on. These were part of the pack. I also have a pair of socks which are cacti. I have on them. I have another sharks. Anyway, I can't look. The point is that I wear on Sunday. I wear the octopus socks. Put them in the wash, and now I only have one. Where the hell did it go? How can that not create anxiety for someone? Where did it go? I literally put it in the wash, took it off my feet, put it in the wash with other clothing, and I take it out, put it in the dryer. And I pull it out of the dryer. There's only one. And yes, before you start asking me, I use fabric softener. So it's not like static electricity. It's not clinging to something else right now that I haven't seen yet. I can't find it. And it was my favorite of the pack. That's the kind of thing that creates anxiety for me, and kudos to Kofi Kingston, who does his Air Kofi dive like that. So basically, I lost my point. Where are we on my notes here? There we go. So and Kofi landed hard on this one as well. KO was there, but Kofi, he landed pretty hard on that one as well. Back in the ring, Kingston connects with the SOS, covers KO, but only gets 2. Kofi goes back up to the top rope, but KO just shoves him off the top turnbuckle outside to the floor, and we go to commercial. Back from commercial, Kofi hits a slingshot elbow over the top rope. Kingston grabs the top rope. KO tosses Kingston. There we go. Over the top rope. But Kingston hangs on to the top rope and starts to hoist himself back up. KO comes right in with a kick to the back to the back of the head, which sends Kofi to the floor. KO gets on the apron and he hits a frog splash off the apron to the floor. Now, you have to know here, folks, looking at this, it looks painful for everyone. There's so little padding. KO's not a light guy. He's not a light heavyweight. He's a big dude. So he lands right on top of Kofi. Can't feel good for Owens' knees and his elbows. Can't feel good for Kofi either. Props to that. He gets back into the ring, actually hits a top rope frog splash on Kofi Kingston, covers Kofi, who kicks out at 2.9. KO goes back up top, but he gets kicked in the head by Kofi. There's shenanigans that follows. Kofi falls off again. Kevin Owens hits a goddamn swanton. Jesus Christ, covers Kofi, only gets 2, goes for the pop-up powerbomb, but Trouble in Paradise connects. Kofi Kingston is your winner. He is your winner. So congratulations, Kofi. Look, you got to say one thing here. This was a fun way to start. SmackDown Live. This is how, technically, every WWE wrestling show should start. You don't need the McMahons. You don't need 30 minutes of angles. Just let the boys and the girls fight. Just let it happen. And by God, I will be crucified here right now if this is not the truth. But bloody hell is Kofi Kingston, just a fantastic champion. He has been, everything he's been doing has been gold. But then again, they have been booking him very, very well. Now, you know what's coming up. You know what I'm going to be ranting on about that doesn't involve footwear this evening. But we have to take the time to appreciate and point out when WWE do things properly. And ladies and gentlemen, the Kofi Kingston push has been most properly managed. It's been really good. Want to say hi to you, Bobaruski, and would you look at that, Chris Spizak, who have all joined the chat here. How you doing, everyone? There we go. Everyone's having a good time talking about. Now, hang on a second. Who's saying Kristen Ashley is a misfortune in my life? Who's saying this? Is going to be held to pay. Because Kristen Ashley is one of the most important things that has happened in my life recently. Even not that recently. No, a long time at this point. She's a ray of sunlight, and you should all bask in that sunlight. Bastards. Okay. So there we go. So I've been talking all this time and we're only on the first match. All right. R-Truth arrives at the building, or at least we see him arrive. He's there. It's fantastic. He's with Carmella. He's fleeing. He doesn't want to be caught with his 24/7 title. Here's the thing. If you don't want to be caught with your 24/7 title, I'm just throwing this out here. Don't show up to an arena that's filled with wrestlers. Unless, of course, you're contractually obligated to, right? Next, Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan come to the ring. The Planet's champions, the Planeteers. And Daniel Bryan basically starts talking about how the SmackDown Tag Team division is a joke. And it's a joke. It's an unfunny joke. Actually, Rowan has a joke, says Daniel Bryan. And he says, tell us your joke, Eric. Knock, knock. I'll be doing the roles of Eric Rowan and Kyla Braxton as well. Sounds all the freckles. Knock, knock. That's Eric Rowan. Just in case you were wondering if that was Kyla Braxton. No, this is Eric Rowan. Knock, knock. Who's there? Okay. Knock, knock. Who's there? The SmackDown Tag Team Division. The SmackDown Tag Team Division who? Exactly. That, I'm a father. That was a dad joke. And I have a penchant for dad jokes. I enjoy a good dad joke. But no, that one was too cheesy for me. But basically, you have Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan essentially saying that there's nothing going on in the SmackDown Tag Team division, that they are the best. They are going to be the best SmackDown Tag Team champions of all time. They are also going to defend the planet. Look, how can you not get behind Daniel Bryan when he is just speaking absolute truths? How? I mean, this. He is my champion. He is not my heel. He is my babyface. So he says they defend the planet unlike these people here who spent their Memorial Day eating beautiful creatures like Wiggles the pig or Wilbur the cow. Anyway, someone wants to challenge. There's someone that does want to challenge for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, and that's Heavy Machinery. Otis Dozovich and Tucker Knight. Otis and Tucker. I haven't seen them in such a while. I forgot they didn't have last names anymore. Tucker says, no doubt Otis and I love to have fun. Now, is Michael Cole writing their lines now? But it's time to get down to some serious blue collar business. And they want, so they challenge for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. And Bryan and Eric Rowan say, or Daniel Bryan accepts the challenge, but not tonight, not in the state that supports fracking and the proliferation of earthquakes. Again, I don't know how you can't get behind them. So this is all good. I like this. This was a fun little segment. Let me see here. Let's see here. You, says Daniel Bryan, is speaking the truth. He's blaming us poor people for what's wrong when he should be targeting the rich. He's a hypocrite. We stand him, though. Fightbot says, rest in peace, Wilbur. And yes, F and that, like Metal says, F to pay respects to Wilbur. Everyone, press F to pay your respects to Wilbur the pig, who was eaten over the course of Memorial Day weekend. And for once, Memorial Day, you can't blame Canada for having eaten Wilbur. We didn't have no Memorial Days. We don't memorialize days here. So next we had another match. We actually had a women's match. Carmella versus Mandy Rose. Before that, you had Mandy Rose backstage passing out issues of muscle and fitness hers. And hey, they run into Ember Moon, who's reading a book. What book is she reading? Jekyll and Hyde. They spoil the ending for her. She says they say everyone dies. That's dumb. That doesn't actually confirm to me that Sonya Deville has actually read the novel, because you could actually guess that about every novel, right? You could just throw that out there and say they all die at the end. It's if you have basically probably a 60-40 chance or a 40-60 chance maybe of that happening. Everyone dies at the end. Novels. Unless you're reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid. No one dies in that. That'd be gruesome and dark. So Carmella and Mandy Rose are having a match. They being commentary refer to Money in the Bank, where Carmella claims that Mandy almost injured her, blah, 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 blah. Mandy flashes the magazine and Carmella kicks it out of her hand. Carmella gets dropped on the second turnbuckle and gets some major whiplash on it. That was really well executed by Mandy here. She gets a snapmare and locks Carmella in a chin lock. Carmella gets out with a chin breaker, but runs into one of Mandy Rose's patented bicycle knees. Covers Carmella, but only gets two. Carmella fights back with head scissors, a Bronco Buster, but Sonya Deville distracts Carmella for a roll-up win by Rose. You know what? For the time that these two ladies had, this was fine. They were, for what they had to do, the time that they had at their disposal, well done. Well done. I like the pace of it. There were people on Monday Night Raw wrestling for legitimate stakes last night who didn't work as quick a pace as these two women were, and they had no stakes involved. Fightbot says, and I agree, we should use Memorial Day to memorialize Wilbur from now on. I think someone should start a petition on change.org. Joe Anthony says, the funny thing is everyone, in fact, did not die at the end of Jekyll and Hyde. There you go. You says, Ember Moon has become the angsty teen in the hallway that hisses at people and Naruto runs down the halls. Richard Storm says he loves me and I love him for joining the chat. All right. Backstage, we have R-Truth who's still running around with the 24/7 title, and when he gets blindsided by former WWE champion Jinder Mahal. My God, what an opportunity for R-Truth's career if he were able to pin Jinder Mahal. And he does actually pin Jinder Mahal. He being R-Truth runs into a photo booth. Why is there a photo booth backstage or in the arena halls? I don't understand that. And so you have the B team and some 205 Live members, the C team wrestlers essentially, and 205 wrestlers run by. And then R-Truth comes out, and then he bumps into Drake Maverick, who has all these posters, right? And then, Drake realizes that he bumped into R-Truth. R-Truth realizes that he bumped into Drake Maverick, and it's very silly. And he runs off. Now, of course, right now, Drake Maverick is the only, aside from R-Truth, is the only other wrestler who's really capitalizing on the 24/7 thing by doing his online gimmicks where he's pulling up posters and making posters. Have you seen R-Truth? When Elias won the title, he actually went on Twitter and had a mock-up, with Elias like a patchwork poster set up with Elias's face. It's like, have you seen me? And that didn't age well, So there we go. We get another brooding Aleister Black promo, although it was shorter and it was clearer. Like it didn't have many, it didn't have all these philosophical implications where he's just like, you think I want to fight? Look, you think I'm looking to fight, but I'm looking for someone to fight me, to challenge me. And, I'm still here sitting here saying the same thing over and over that I say every week. Let Aleister fight. Don't let him talk. He got over by not saying a word and just kicking people in the face. That's literally all he has to do. He doesn't have to create these very profound or really obtuse reasons to fight people. He just does it. He just does it because he's Aleister Black. And he has darkness, he has a void in him that he tries to fill with violence. It's just that simple. So I don't know what they're doing with Aleister. Goddamn wild cards. Fuck. Excuse me. We're getting there. I'm about to unload on the wild cards. But, if there's a silver lining in this, Buddy Murphy, who is a grand absentee from SmackDown Live since being called up, tweeted out after Aleister did his promo, "Hey pal, I'll fight you." Let me just take a sip of water here to preventively hydrate myself to the fact that perhaps Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black will wrestle each other. Because that's going to be some good shit, pal. I want to say hi to JS Brown that I just saw pop into the chat. And Carlos is here as well. Sports and Things. Good to see everyone. All right. And now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for the Shane McMahon Appreciation Night. I'm just wondering where to start. First and foremost, saw a lot of when they announced this on Twitter earlier today, a lot of people got a little upset. And they're like, no, not this again. Why Shane McMahon Appreciation? And then there's people saying, well, you're not supposed to want a Shane McMahon Appreciation Night. He's a heel. You're supposed to not like what the heels do, right? Right. But But also, no. This has nothing to do with Shane McMahon being a heel or disliking him because he's a heel. Shane McMahon, as a character in and about himself, as a heel character, is uninteresting. Maybe there was a time when he was younger where Shane had a lot of charisma, had that little, little rich boy, little groove to him. Now he's clearly become a father. He's not as charismatic or as nasty or as filled with bile as his father is. He's okay on the mic, but he's not that good. And most importantly, ladies, gentlemen, he's not a wrestler. He likes to pretend he's one. He likes to pretend he's a pro wrestler. That's fine. When he has like one exhibition match a year where he goes, where he has his WrestleMania match where he falls off his shit and people go, oh my God, he's dead again. That's fine. But he's not a wrestler. He's not a wrestler. He's not entertaining. And he's put in positions that could be easily occupied by another wrestler, a legitimately talented wrestler who could be put in the exact same shoes and the exact same results would occur, perhaps even improved. But no. WWE seems to think that because people just don't like him, that this equates necessarily to good heat, but it's not good because it's not interesting. We're not interested in what's happening. And this really did hit its peak levels when he won the damn cup in Saudi Arabia, when the Miz didn't win it. It just served him. It hasn't been putting anyone over. It hasn't been elevating anyone else than Shane. And like I said, I'm okay with Shane McMahon in very, very small doses. He comes and he does his WrestleMania match. He does his coast to coast. He falls off of something tall, and we all go home happy, right? As I pointed out but last week, Shane McMahon has wrestled on every WWE pay-per-view since the beginning of 2019. He's been on all of them. And there are wrestlers, main roster wrestlers, who have not. So, this segment here, first and foremost, was a pain in the ass. Just when it was announced. But it compounded it, made it more unbearable because they decided to give us, for God's sake, a Shane McMahon video promo. I've talked about this before and I'll say it again. Make those video packages, those recaps, those career highlights. Give us those packages for wrestlers who can actually benefit from it. Give us Mustafa Ali promo packages where we get to understand and live through his career. Andrade Cien Almas, Ruby Riott, Ember Moon. Let's find out more about these people, these new stars that you're trying to build, but yet continue to focus not only on your old talent, but talent which isn't even really talent. That there's no real upside in building anymore. That's one thing. The second thing is that these video packages are long. They take up so much time. And they air 2 to 3 per show. There's another video pack. Look, as much as I love Kevin Owens and Kofi Kingston, the opening recap of their feud was not necessary. And you know what else is not necessary? Trying to make me care about Triple H and Randy Orton by like one of the greatest feuds in WWE history. It's not. It's not. It was a fun feud, but it doesn't have longevity. It's not like we're bringing it back. No, you're not. No, you're not. This is exactly like Taker and Triple H. One of the most storied feuds in WWE. No. So not only are we spending time with video packages on Shane, video packages for one match that will not have any follow-up or whatever, that one match for Saudi Arabia and another, this is all time we could be using for another match. We could literally be putting someone else on television, on SmackDown, but they're not. Who was not on SmackDown tonight, ladies and gentlemen, in a wrestling capacity? Andrade Cien Almas, Aleister Black, Mustafa Ali. Who else? Let's see. Finn Balor. He's not legitimately injured, folks. He's not legitimately injured. Who else was not on it? Lars Sullivan, Buddy Murphy, Rusev, Shinsuke Nakamura. And those are just the guys. Where's Asuka? Kairi Sane? You blinked and you missed the Iconics tonight. If Morgan wasn't there, but she's legitimately injured. We haven't seen Mickie James since the transfer, since the superstar shakeup. What the hell? Why are we doing this? Why are we trying to put over Randy Orton and Triple H when we should be building new stars? And when you have legitimately new and exciting stars that people are gravitating to very easily. Yes, I said gravitating to. It's preposterous. And the fucking wild card rule does not help. It does not help. Because tonight we had Lacey Evans on SmackDown to fight Bayley, when there are other women that Bayley could be fighting on SmackDown. Actual SmackDown. Ember Moon was there. And what was she good for tonight? Just like I think it was you who said in commentary, all she was doing was being an angsty teenager, reading her horror classics in the hallway and hissing at people going by. And we were all super excited when she was transferred to SmackDown Live. We were like, yeah, finally, Ember's gonna. So many exciting new matches, so many new possibilities. Look at all the great talent on SmackDown. Fuck. And then Drew is there. I love Drew. I love Drew McIntyre. I think Drew McIntyre should be pushed to the moon. He should be the mastermind against an offensive on Roman Reigns, not being a lackey to Shane McMahon. That part of his character that's been developed in his feuds with Braun and Dolph. Drew has been shown to be super smart. He's shown to be a conniver, a planner, treacherous. So it works for him to be a supervillain, to be a Lex Luthor in one of his anti-Superman suits. This whole thing, everything that WWE has been doing in tossing people from the same, using the wild card rule to push forward the same people over and over again, to push the same people with video packages, while they could be either doing the video packages for other people or not using them at all and letting people wrestle. They're doing these and they're wasting opportunities. And it's crazy that they feel like that they're okay to do this when they have stacked rosters of people. That's the thing. If they had like 12 people, it'd be like, well, yeah, I can understand why there's so much fillers on there's so much filler on the show. But they don't. They don't. And I tweeted this out tonight. The wild card rule basically shows us, proves us, that compounds, underscores the necessity of having the brand split. That the brand split has to be maintained. Because then we get people overexposed. We have Roman Reigns on both shows. We have Kofi Kingston on both shows. Shane McMahon on both shows. We get the same people, the same angles on both shows. Before all this became jumbled, if the storylines on Raw sucked, well, you could at least turn to SmackDown. You're like, well, at least on SmackDown, I'm going to get new faces, fresh stuff, or vice versa. You know, if you didn't like SmackDown, well, at least now they just flow into each other. It's like shit in, and then shit in again. There's no shit out. I like to give the benefit of the doubt, seeing to try out new things. And I have tried to be as positive as possible regarding the wild card rule. But right now, the wild card rule is without a shadow of a doubt the thing that I hate the most in WWE. And it's not just because everything feels jumbled and confused. It's because it is taking time away from building stars and is creating an environment where which harkens back to a pre-brand split era where it's always the same people doing always the same things. I hate the wild card rule so much. And I don't think that, at least since I've started doing podcasting, I don't think there's anything that WWE has done that has, creatively speaking, that creates such a profound, true, and visceral dislike as the wild card rule does. Because it is completely against anything that they could create or do better moving forward. Anywho, let's move on. Oh, and I have to finish with this segment because there is something important, something significant that happened. Is that R-Truth ran in with Drake Maverick following, and Drake Maverick basically challenged R-Truth for the 24/7 title, and R-Truth successfully defended it on Drake Maverick. But then the heels attacked R-Truth, and they triple teamed him, and Elias ended up pinning him, and he became 24/7 champion. But then Shane sets up a match later on for R-Truth and Roman Reigns versus Elias and Drew, and then Shane says, he tells Elias, like, don't worry, Elias, since I want you to focus on the match, I will suspend the rules of the 24/7 title for the duration of the match. So of course the rules can be suspended at any given goddamn motherfucking time. Because consistency Because consistency. We have a backstage. Let's move on. Let's talk about something fun. I want to talk about the Bayley and Lacey Evans match, which was fun. Let me just see here in the chat real quick. CM Phil says, I want Drew to claim more Shane out of his Jordans at this point, but that would probably turn him face. Blaine says Shane's Jordan game is trash too. I have a better collection. Phil says, I read Phil. Peter Davies says, Kyrie hasn't had a video package or anything since moving to main roster explaining who she is. LOL. Exactly my point. Lacey Evans and Charlotte Flair are backstage literally having some tea, but like literally having some orange pico, perhaps some Earl Grey, hopefully not orange pico, maybe some Earl Grey, perhaps some English breakfast, something to that affair. Maybe they're having some Darjeeling. Who knows? But they are enjoying a spot of tea, and goddamn if them together being on the same page didn't just like make me wish that they were a tag team, and that wish didn't age very well, did it? We got Bayley versus Lacey Evans for the evening. Bayley tries to roll Evans up, but she gets back in control of Bayley really quickly. She slaps her around. Bayley comes back with a knee to Evans' face that allows Bayley to cover Evans, but she kicks out at 2. Charlotte, by the way, is at ringside. She's joined the commentary boys, and she seems a little out of it. She doesn't seem in her element. Corey Graves keeps asking her questions, and she gives very closed, very singular answers, and you can tell Graves is he's fishing. He's trying to get some answers. He's trying to feed Charlotte. She was a little off tonight as far as that goes. Bayley gets tossed to the outside. Charlotte, who's at ringside, stands up and goes over to Bayley, who's on the ground, to point at her. And then things sort of hang, and then we go to commercial. It was a little awkward. But when we come back, Bayley's back in the ring. She hits a running crossbody on Evans for 2. Evans then kicks Bayley down and covers her for 2. Lacey stomps Bayley in the corner and does her handkerchief thing where she takes the sweat off and her pits and she tosses it on Bayley. Does her stalling Bronco Buster. But Bayley does fight back. She rope hangs Lacey, and Lacey rolls to the outside. Bayley finally, and she hadn't done this properly in a while, but she hits her sliding apron drop kick. Whew, I was a little nervous when she did it because she had been messing it up for months now. She hit it perfectly. She clotheslines Lacey down. She goes over at Charlotte. Charlotte jaws back. Bayley sort of turns around, but then spins right back around and forearms the hell out of Charlotte. Charlotte just goes flying into her chair. And I'm like, oh, yes. This is my Bayley, guys. This is the Bayley we love right here. She hits the ring again. Charlotte goes right in after her. Bayley eggs her on. Like the referee's trying to keep Charlotte from coming in. Bayley's like, come on. You know you want to. And I'm like, Jesus, this is so good. This is such fantastic attitude from Bayley. But since Bayley's distracted, Lacey Evans takes the opportunity and rolls her up. She would have got the 3 count, but the referee's distracted by Charlotte, who wants to get at Bayley. And when the ref finally turns around, Bayley kicks out, and she rolls back over on Lacey Evans into a crucifix pin, gets the win. She sneaks out of the ring, and I'm like, I love this ending. This was a fantastic ending. Scrappy little babyface Bayley, ready to do what needs to be done. She doesn't mind getting under people's skin. Has just enough attitude. I dug this. This was such a good ending, and some great character development for Bayley at the same time. And then Lacey Evans beats Charlotte up after. She goes after Charlotte because Charlotte fucked her over in the match. And why wouldn't she? This is great. Great stuff. Charlotte stands tall at the end. She got the upper hand on Lacey. That's fine. But this was all so good. This was fantastic storytelling. And Bayley, the camera even cuts back to Bayley on the ramp going, oh, she's like, oh shit, did I do this? So we may not be getting the Flair and Evans connection, or the Flair and Evans tea house, or whatever. But give me smarmy attitude, Bayley. This little look, everything just clicked here. This was expertly done. Joe Anthony says that the Lacey Charlotte pairing was disappointingly short-lived. They actually had some potential and had chemistry. They did. Carlos says Bayley needs other feuds or she'll end up with a pointless title reign. Well, feuding with Charlotte Flair, I mean, that's your go-to, right? But there are so many women on. Look, Jesus Christ, they just have to give the women some time. You know what? Bayley and Mandy Rose is something that I'm sure would be fantastic, because Mandy Rose is grossly underappreciated, underrated. I'd be good with that. And then you have Ember Moon also waiting in the wings. You know, there's just so many people, so many wonderful women. Blaine just said it himself. There are a lot of women. Bayley can defend her title against Charlotte isn't one I need to see. You know what? I kind of do. Because if you want Bayley to be booked strong, like right now, there's a proper argument, and Charlotte's been making the argument that Bayley's win over her was a fluke. Let them have the feud that they need to have, and let Bayley establish a big win over Charlotte. That's what she needs. That's how you build stars, y'all. That's how it's done. We have Andrade and Zelina Vega, who listened to Finn Balor from last week saying that he can't compete, and Andrade cuts a promo. And then we have our main event. Main event tag team match. Roman and R-Truth versus Drew McIntyre and Elias. Has my hair been going this wild throughout the entire evening because I've been ranting a lot tonight? Is that what's been happening, chat? So Roman comes to the ring. Then R-Truth starts his entrance, but he gets blindsided by Drew and Elias and Shane McMahon. He gets beat up, but Roman comes down to save his tag partner, takes out Elias and Drew. Roman goes for some punches in the corner on Elias, but Shane distracts Roman, and that allows the heels to get back in control. Drew does his deadlift suplex, covers Roman for 2. Roman hits a Samoan drop, then tags Truth in, but Drew headbutts him, and he rolls to the outside. He throws Truth into the barricade, slams him against the apron. Back from commercial, Elias is beating down R-Truth. The heels just smush him. They just keep up with them as they keep him away as much as possible because that's what he'll do. That's what heels do. They keep the baby face away. Truth. Eventually, though, Truth does get a legitimate hot tag to Reigns. The crowd was really into it. Roman takes down Elias, smashes Drew. Corner clotheslines follow. A boot on Elias. Superman punch on Drew, who is not the legal man. He tosses Elias out, hits the drive-by on Elias. Shane was not supposed to be where he was supposed to be. Shane was not where he was supposed to be when Roman Reigns went to hit the drive-by because Shane sort of scooted off. Shane comes and attacks Reigns, but Roman resists. And despite being attacked, the ref does not call for the bell. Reigns avoids a flying claymore. That was a hell of a visual. Just Roman started moving out of the way. Then you see like Drew McIntyre fly across your screen and land on the commentary table. That was pretty cool. And Roman spears Elias in the ring for the win. But then after the match, he spears Elias again to get Truth to cover Elias and regain the 24/7 title, because for the duration of the match, it was suspended. The match is done. So R-Truth gets his title back. You know, the 24/7 title right now works best on R-Truth. R-Truth is made for this title, honestly. So let his reigns be long and plentiful, if you ask me. Roman Reigns, Sean Ross Sapp pointed out, does this mean that Roman Reigns was being a friendly guy, helping R-Truth get the title back, or does Roman just feel like the 24/7 title is under him? Well, let's just posit this. Last night on Raw, Roman Reigns only came out to defend his cousin, his blood relative. He only decided to come out once Shane McMahon started trash talking him. So you judge Roman Reigns on his own morals. You come up with your own moral compass as far as Roman Reigns goes. Oh, so that was SmackDown Live, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? It was a good show. I enjoyed the wrestling. I thought it was light years above Raw last night. But there is just so much nonsense with video packages, with Shane McMahon, with the wild cards. It just takes away so much of the experience here. Oh man. Carlos in the chat says, give me BAYLEY versus Kairi Sane best of 7. Okay. Guys, I think we're going to end it here so I can go pat myself down. I want to thank you all for joining me this evening and sitting through a rather ranty and wild episode of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I'll be the first to admit it. This one was I was in a mood, wasn't I? But I do want to thank everyone for joining. It's all super appreciated. Thank you again to all the mods who make this place fantastic. Do remember to come and check me out on FightfulSelect.com tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern for my 205 Live NXT UK recap show. But Friday, NXT TakeOver 25 predictions with Harmony Cox right here on YouTube.com/MrWarrenHayes. 8 p.m. standard and Eastern, I should say, because time is standard. And I forgot to mention, Saturday, post-takeover show over on Fightful with Sean and Alex. It'll be my pleasure to be there, and it's going to be an exciting time. Guys and gals, thank you all so very much for coming out, and I will see you next time.